Philip, if you're out there, can you tell me if you can hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Hold on 1 second. Let me increase my volume.
Okay, I can hear you.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to start the meeting here in just a second.
I never did figure out what that question was. One day I was talking. That's what I remember.
Let's go ahead and call the meeting to order. We just got to get Bob Guy to sit down, you know, he's always talk to somebody, right? I believe, Secretary, we do have a quorum of members present. So Miss Becky, Becky's going to lead us in our invocation. One thing I'd like to ask, and we do this actually at my Rotary Club every week. Does anyone in the room have someone that they'd like us to pray for? I think that's very powerful. You get a nice group like this. If you have someone in your family or something that's sick or ill or whatever, it'd be great. Yes.
Leonard Jeffries.
Leonard Jeffries.
He's COVID. He's also a cancer.
Okay, we'll keep him in our prayers. Yep.
He is a kitchen employee, retired. He just been released today after about a week in hospital with COVID. He's still got a long way to go. Deputy Jimmy Walker, who's been there for 25 years, had part of quadruple bypass surgery yesterday morning. He's now in the hospital resting. Third day, we had Cass White had a defibrillator put in last week. So
Yes, we'll certainly do that. So let's see another hand.
Yeah. And they take on the kids at one hospital, and they took on
Thank you. Any other? Okay.
I would say, let's all pray for Rick Rash. He's been so active in our GOP from him. He's not doing well right now. He's gotten better.
Thank you. Becky, why don't you come up and do it, please?
Pray together. Father God, we come to you praising you and thanking you for all that you are, all that you do. All that we have is from you. Please forgive us of all of our many sins. Thank you for your grace and your mercy. Please cause the things of you to become the things of us. Please do in us all that is of you and all that only you can do. Please help us to keep the main thing, remembering that there is nothing without life. Thank you that we are the party of life. Please bless the ones who work so hard and sacrifice so much without ever caring who gets the credit. Please allow them your favor. Father, as we think of those who have worked so very hard, we lift up to you our brother, our friend, Rick Rash. We love him so much and miss him being with us. We know he loves our party, and more importantly, we know he loves you. Please wrap your loving arms around him and remind him of how very much you love him and that we do too. Please bless him, Lord. Father, we lift up all of the ones who have been mentioned, Father, for healing and for comfort, for Leonard Jeffries, for the deputies of the jail, for the family in Colorado, and for others that ones are thinking about right now, Father, who need that healing and that comfort, Father. We just ask that you would hear and answer our prayers, and we just thank you that you do. In the powerful name of Jesus, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Becky. All right, if you all stand and join me in stating the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, go ahead. See. All right. since we were having a little AV issues as far as the sound, some of you that didn't get here early would have noticed that we were having lots of feedback. So hopefully I will try to project as best I can. So if Jeff or someone in the back row, Sue, if you can't hear me, just give me the thumbs up and I'll try to project a little louder. Usually I'm okay with that though. So hopefully you'll be able to hear me. First order of business is a motion to approve the agenda. I think the one that was initially sent out, we did have one, not really a typo, but we had said Becky, we had her name wrong. It's Becky Dawn. So that's the only small correction that I have. Is there a motion to approve the I'm sorry, that was actually the minutes. It's a motion to approve the agenda. Sorry, getting ahead of myself. Moved by Kevin and seconded by Bill. All right, all in favor? Opposed? So it's ordered. So the minutes, that's what I was talking about. Just the one small change there. Is there any other changes?
We also corrected the
Okay. Little
Thank
small
you,
thing.
Dan.
The change from 10 to 2 to 10 to 3 on the November 6th
Safety.
campaign school. All right. Anything else? Do we have a motion to approve as corrected? Do we have a second? Bill Furco. All right, all in favor? Opposed? Okay, so ordered. All right. At this point, we typically do like to recognize our elected officials. I think we have a few that are in the room currently here. So if you are a current elected official, can we get you to just stand and announce yourself? I start over on this side with Bob.
I'm Bob down.
Okay. Who else we got here? I guess, oh, here, we got the judge. All right, great to have you with us. And we do have, I do see a number of folks that are first-time visitors, so great to have you all with us. I will be talking about, I know there's a number of candidates in the room as well. I'm going to be talking about that here in just a moment. So some of you folks, I'll recognize you as. Oh, sorry, Barry. Thank you, Barry. Thank you. Okay. Let's go to the next slide. So first thing I want to talk just a little bit about, and hopefully you all have been keeping track of what's been going on in the legislature with things like redistricting. On the screen right now, this is the new state Senate district. So previously, as you may recall, it was Oldham County and part of Jefferson. Now you see that it extends. It's I don't know what color you want to call that, but it's Oldham County. We now are combined with Trimble, and then still have, you see just a little bit of that northwestern part of Jefferson. That is the new state Senate district. I will tell you that looking at Trimble, when I looked at it, it does lean Democrat. It's a 62-38 Democrat registration, but they only have like 8,000 registered voters up there. So it's a pretty small county.
Can you share that?
Oh. All right, give me 1 second here. Pull that up for them. Thank you, Jim, keeping me honest. Share screen. All right, please tell me if you can see that. Okay, I'll try to, we'll keep both going. So that's the new state Senate district. And the governor did not veto. That's the one redistricting plan that did not get vetoed. He had until Friday to either sign it, veto it, or let it pass without his signature. And he did let this one go. So that one looks like it's good to go. Next is This is the house, the way the house looks. So you can see that the seat that's currently represented by Dave Osborne, District 59, that still is all encompassing into Oldham County. We used to have 4 House members. We are now down to 3 seats. The seat that was previously held by Jerry Miller no longer has any part of Oldham County. And Jerry Miller, just for those of you that don't know, he is not running for re-election. And we certainly extend our gratitude for all he has done on behalf of Oldham County. We still have District 33. That's the district that's represented currently by Jason Nemus. His big thing is that he previously got Oldham and Jefferson. Now he gains, you can see a little bit of that yellow that extends into Shelby. So he has a little bit of Shelby now in his district. And then the last one is District 48, which is currently represented by Ken Fleming. That one still has Oldham and Jefferson in that particular district. Okay. Reminder again, this is one of the 2 that got vetoed. So we overrode it, and now it's going forward in lawsuits. So, and I'll talk about more of that in just a second here. Next is this is the congressional map. Again, I know if you're sitting in the back, the biggest thing is you can kind of look at the colors here. This is the 2012 map. And what I want to show you is when you look down at District 1, that's the one that's causing a lot of heartburn, especially amongst the Democrat Party. But you see how it carries all the way down to the southwest corner, and it sort of carries up about halfway up into District 2. If you flip this slide, you'll see now that it carries all the way up into Franklin. And that's what's really the Democrats are most concerned with. And you've probably heard they say if you drive from Louisville to Lexington, you're going to cross 5 different congressional districts, which is true. It definitely does get a couple of additional counties up there. For us in District 4, the big thing is Congressman Massey, who currently represents us. He used to have a little portion of Jefferson. It does not go into Jefferson now, but it does carry over. You can see it goes down a little bit into not only Shelby, but you get Spencer and then half of Nelson County. So it extends a little bit further south, but it stays away from Jefferson itself. And why did we have to do the redistricting? And why did, you look at it and you say, geez, about 1/3 of the land mass there is over there in District 5. The big thing is population. The population shifts. So you saw a lot of the population in the eastern part of the state, it declined. Whereas the population growth was in Lexington, Louisville, and up in northern Kentucky. So that's where that one got larger, and some of the others actually shrunk a little bit. Okay. So that all being said, very quickly, I went down to the courthouse, the county clerk's office this afternoon. The filing deadline was 4 o'clock today. I'm looking over at Amy's way, right? 4 o'clock today was supposed to be the current filing deadline. We'll talk about that in just a second. And these are the folks that are on the ballot. So you've got our Judge David Vogel and Albert Harrison running for a county judge executive. Barry Baxter is the only one that has declared for a county attorney. Next screen. County clerk, you've got Amy Alvey and Daniel Summers. Sheriff, Robert Lane and Tim Wakefield. And those are open seats, by the way. Julie Barr and Steve Sparrow are not running again. Same thing with Mike Simpson. He's not running for jailer. So we have 2 candidates there. Kevin Nuss is sitting over here. Just wave everybody there. And Jeff sitting in the back of the room. I should just double check. And I failed to mention, Amy is sitting over here. I referenced her a moment ago. Amy running for county clerk. I don't think Robert or Tim Wakefield were here. The coroner, David Pendleton, is running again. The eye, by the way, indicates that they are the incumbents. So if you're looking at these screens. Next screen, you see county surveyor. We have no candidates for county surveyor. I'm not sure what's going to happen with that. That get appointed or how that gets filled. PVA, Barbara Winters, incumbent, running once again. And then we get to the magistrates. There's been a little bit of movement here in the last week or so. Brent Likens is running again as the incumbent in District 1. Chris Monty Montgomery, I don't know, is Chris here? No. He was going to run for constable, and I saw that just in the last week, he switched over to run for magistrate in District 1. Wayne Tice running again in District 2. Kevin Woosley, I put an A there because he's technically not an incumbent. He was appointed, so he wasn't elected, but he was appointed to fill that position. And Lisa Paris, I see Lisa is here. Give us a wave. Lisa is running against Kevin as magistrate in District 3. District 4, that's the seat that Steve Greenwell has decided not to run again for. So we've got Kevin Jeffries sitting over here. And I don't think I saw Jason Taylor come in. Jason is currently sits on the city council with LaGrange. Next screen. District 5, Chris Hounds. I saw that you decided not to run. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I just want to make sure I saw the paperwork correctly here. So, all right, very good. Maybe the next time, huh? All right, very good. And then District 6, Stephanie Hawkins and Larry Otterback. District 7, Bob, where'd you go? Sitting over here, Bob Dye running once again. And in District 8, we got Michael Logsden against Karen Saltow. I think they ran against each other last time. So I think we'll be able to hold on to that seat. Notice that that's the only D that I've mentioned so far. So yeah, if we keep going, just quickly through the constables, we've got an open seat there in District 1 between Jacob Harper and Jay Russo. Number 2, John Dethridge. Where's John? Oh, he's back at the front door there. All right, John is running again. District 3, we've got 3 individuals. Warren Johnson is the incumbent, running with against Jason Cornett and Barry Laws. There's John. Say hi, John. We just introduced you. Constable District 4, Alan Lane, running unopposed. District 5 is Tim Kohlenberg. We all know Tim. He's been very involved with the party. Michael Saylor, is he here? Did he make it? Tell him we send our congrats for that. District 7, incumbent Joseph P. Hamilton III, and in District 8, Barry Wild. Saw Barry a moment ago. And then in the city of LaGrange, that's also up. John Black is running unopposed. And then I was a little concerned, and if any of you are following the Facebook page, I put it out there Friday. We only had 7 candidates running. Well, Trey apparently decided yesterday to run again, Trey Kramer. So you can see that there's 7 incumbents running for the 8 seats. The only one that's not is Jason Taylor, and he's running for the magistrate seat in District 4. So you've got 7 that are running for as incumbents, and then some additional folks that have put their name in with Kevin Cronin, Rachel Thieler, Laura Taylor, or Faith Butch. Are any of those individuals here? This is nonpartisan. Yeah. I do not know. Laura. So, and we'll certainly do a little as we get close to the election. We'll do a little investigating to see if we have some conservative candidates here that would represent the city well. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, at the front. Yeah, just Barry's the only one that's filed. For State Senate District 6, now again, I mentioned that's now Oldham, Trimble, and part of Jefferson. So we do have Bill Furco here. Wave, Bill. Lindsay, is Lindsay here? Oh, there you are. Didn't see a sneak in there. Lindsay is also running. And again, as of the deadline, now I don't know if they got a stack of paper that gets into the Secretary of State website. I looked at it at 5 o'clock. The deadline was 4 o'clock. So as of 4 o'clock, it's the only 2 folks. So we're really hoping that, I'd like to keep it in the family, so to speak, and not have to worry about a Democrat running. I put a note on there that Karen Bird, She now represents Jefferson, a seat that was previously held by Morgan McGarvey. He's the minority leader for the Senate. And he's running for Congress because one of the things that they talked about when they put the redistricting plan together for the state Senate was there was no incumbents running against each other. Well, he's running for Congress, so I think they just shifted her down into his seat. She does have, interestingly, she has 3 Republican opponents in that district. So we'll wish them well. And then House District 59, David Osborne does have a primary opponent, Bridget Healy. Is she here? Oh, there you are. Hi. I'll look forward to having coffee with you. So running against David. And then the last one here on the local side, the House District, Ken Fleming. I mentioned that I call it this is like the Rocky trilogy. It's fight number 3. Him and Maria Sorolis, she has to get through a primary. She does have Amanda Corzine, who's a nurse downtown. But Maria, if you all recall, she won the seat in 2018, and Ken won it back in 2020, and she's running again. So it'd be nice to just let her retire and go back to Florida. And then the last one is Jason Nemus. He does have an opponent, Kate. Oh, there's Kate that snuck in here. Hello there. Has an opponent, and I see Stephanie back there as well. So yeah, we got a few folks here. Great to have you with us, Jason. He's got an opponent, Kate Turner. Interesting thing I'll tell you about her is if you go to her Facebook page, you'll see that she's been campaigning since October. She's been literally out knocking on doors since October. And I have looked at her and I look at it and I no offense to some of the younger folks, but I call her a young TikToker. I don't know that that's really the going to give you enough meat on the bone to get you elected, but she is out there running. All right. And then from the 4th Congressional District, Thomas Massey, he has 4 opponents. Yes, that's not a typo. The 4th one there is George Washington. That'll be, I'd like to see that debate. But Alyssa Dara McDowell and then Claire Worth. I don't think Claire made it tonight. Those are the 4. And then just literally last week, Matthew Lehman from up in Newport threw his name in to run for Congress as a Democrat. Okay.
We need to check residency for
He said he's from Corinth, I believe. So, but yeah. And then the last one on here from the U.S. Senate, Rand Paul, of course, is running. He's got 6. There's 6 Republicans and 4 Democrats running. We all know that Charles Booker is the more prominent U.S. Senate candidate. I put a little asterisk behind John Chice. I've actually sort of filed a bit of a complaint to the Republican Party to say, why are we letting someone from Wisconsin who lives in Wisconsin, does not live in Kentucky, run for a U.S. Senate seat in Kentucky? He's run for the U.S. Senate in Wisconsin 3 times. He's run for Congress 1 time in Wisconsin. And then in 2020, he ran for the U.S. Senate, or at least he filed. I don't know that he got through a primary. He filed for U.S. Senate in Arizona. And oh, by the way, he's filed a letter of intent to file for U.S. Senate in Arizona again this year. How in the heck is he even allowed to be on our ballot? So I'm hoping what I saw was that you don't. You have to be a resident. The question was, do you have to be a resident for a year? When I looked at it, I thought it said you have to be a resident after you get elected. So like for state Senate, I think you have to be a resident in your district for a year. U.S. Senate, it just said as long as you live there once you're elected. That's bizarre to me. Okay. This is just, again, I hear a lot of conversations. I just want to give you a little bit of an update that for the current breakdown of Congress, we know we have a slight disadvantage there. There are currently 28, through last week, there are 28 Democrats that are retiring from Congress. We've got 14 Republicans. Yeah. Now, I will say that, my note on the bottom there, 8 Democrats have decided to run for different offices. Some of them are throwing in for running for Senate. One's running for governor, and one out in California is running for mayor of Los Angeles. So interesting there, but that really helps when you have these open seats for us to regain Congress. And I do believe that we are going to regain it this year. Next slide, just it tells you a little bit about the Senate. This is very, very, very important because we really hope that we can regain both. It's a 50-50, but we've got our work cut out for us in the Senate. Why do I say that? You got currently 50 Republicans, 48 Democrats, and the 2 independents that caucus with the Democrats, Angus King and Bernie Sanders. You got 34 Senate seats up for re-election. This is probably the most important number. 20 are Republican, 14 are Democrat. We're defending 20 versus 14. So that's already a big number. The 5 Republicans not seeking re-election: Shelby from Alabama, Blunt from Missouri, Burr from North Carolina, Portman from Ohio, Toomey from Pennsylvania. And then there's 1 Democrat not seeking re-election. Lee's been in there, I think, since the 70s up in Vermont. The problem is Vermont is a pretty safe Democrat state up there. If you look at those 5 that we're defending, Alabama, Missouri, Ohio, they all definitely lean Republican. Alabama's a pretty safe Republican Senate seat. North Carolina and Pennsylvania will definitely be toss-ups. So we've got to defend all that. And then what we think the target is going to be: Arizona, Kelly, who just got elected in 2020. He's going to be up for re-election again. Warnock, who came in with the 2 senators that got elected in 2020. He's up again for the full term. So we definitely want to knock him off. And then we do think that there's a strong possibility of getting Nevada and New Hampshire. New Hampshire is a toss-up state. So we think there's possibilities there. So it's a lot of work, but we hope we can capture the Senate as well. And the last side is that's just a visual. I just want to kind of give you a visual of what's up for re-election. So you can see the blue of the Democrats there. The dark blue is the Democrats retiring, so that's the one up there in the northeast. And then the dark red, you can see our states that you would say traditionally do lean more red. Okay. All right. Let's go to the next slide. Okay. A couple other quick things before I turn it over to Mary here, if she has anything on her report. The church building itself here has been sold. Gary, the previous pastor, has retired, and so there's a new group coming in. I'm going to say it wrong, probably Evangel Crestwood Church, and is. Did Reva make it? No, she said she was going to try. I talked to her yesterday. She was going to try it. Pastor Reva Casey is one of the 2 pastors for the new church. I had a nice conversation with her. She wants to kind of understand what we're doing here and whatnot. So we hope to continue the relationship. Obviously, we love meeting here. It's a lot more conducive than meeting over at the South Oldham Government Center. I mean, with AV and everything else, it works well for us. So we're really going to hopefully be able to continue that relationship and be able to meet here. So, but I just want everybody to be aware of that. And that's part of the reason, if you saw, John was back there and handed out some raffle tickets and whatnot. And at the end of the meeting, I'm going to raffle off a few fun little things here. Taking basically a collection, call it a free will offering, if you will. I think it shows that, we do want to help, pay for the heat and the lighting bill, if you will. So appreciate you folks doing that. We'll probably do that as long as we're allowed to continue to stay in here. So, all righty. And then the last comment, for those of you, and there's a number of candidates that are running. Jim has graciously, in all his free time, he's now, I'm not going to say taking over, but working with our website, the OCGOP web page itself. And so one of the things, as we've kind of talked about it, is we'd like to have some links that we can put on there. So if you are a candidate, you want to have a link to your candidate page, we can do that. So we're going to be sending notes out to all of you that are running. So that'll be an opportunity for us. Jim?
We're also going to try to have a Google Calendar there, so if you have events, while they're running, we're going to. And also, if you've got any kind of information that you think is useful for a website, it tends to be more strategic and just practical and not daily stuff. Please send it to me. My address is at the bottom of the agenda, and I'll take anything you give me.
Yep.
And thanks to Collins who just gave us one.
Yeah, they've been very great with Gary, and Sandy to keep it updated in the past. I think with Jim, and working closely with Jim, we'll have more relevant content that we'll have.
Yeah, I just want to say, thank you too for sending out the text and the email notices or whatever. A lot of people are using text now, not using email. So
Yeah.
I think they're pretty good.
If you wanted to add to that, just send me your information. Or resend it to me. First, last name, your phone number, and your carrier. So many people left out their carrier. That's what creates the rest of the address that we put in the database. So feel free to send it to me. I'll get it done as soon as I can.
I appreciate that. One of the things, again, besides getting more relevant information on our webpage is, for the last really 4 or 5 months, I've been trying to put relevant information on our Facebook page as well. So if you are not, I know a lot of you are not Facebook fans, trust me, I get it. But it is one place I am putting various information. So I'd encourage you to at least follow our page. We are up to over 1,000 followers now too. So it's nice to see the numbers there. But, I'm putting stuff on there, every day or every other day that I think is relevant to us. Okay. Last thing before I turn it to Mary, I mentioned the filing deadline was supposed to be 4 o'clock today. We got this lawsuit going. It's going to go to district court, and I'm sure it's going to ultimately go to the Supreme Court. How long is that going to take? We don't know. But the county clerks have things that have to be accomplished on a regular basis before a primary. So Amy, you're really going to find out here shortly. Yeah. But so if this thing drags on, they're going to have a hard time being able to do their job. So Jerry Miller did file a piece of legislation last week that said we would push the primary all the way out to August 2nd instead of May. And the filing deadline would be May 31st. Now, again, I look at it like I'm thinking state Senate seat between Lindsay and Bill back there. Boy, if it's true right now that there's no Democrat opponent, it'd be nice to have this thing done. Because if you extend it out to May, all you're doing is letting them go out and recruit more candidates, especially when most of our seats are not, we don't have opposition on the Democrat side. So I'm really hoping that this will get taken care of and resolved fairly quickly. I don't think they have a leg to stand on as far as their lawsuit, but we'll see. So just be aware, House Bill 323 is sitting out there and could get invoked if this thing extends for many weeks into the future.
So, Wayne, is that something we should call about?
Well, it's the lawsuit.
Oh, it's the lawsuit. Okay.
Yeah, because the committee won't do anything with that unless they see that it's, if it's starting to stretch well into February, I think they're gonna almost have to. So it'll be an issue. All right. That's what I'm saying. But there's stuff that's supposed to be done.
Yeah.
Starting in February for the May primary. Mary, do you have something to
I
share?
don't have any.
Nothing? Okay. Connor, he's at college right now. He sent his regrets in not being able to make it tonight. So we'll skip to the treasurer's report. And Bob, you're gonna love the next slide. Are you ready for this? Give me the next slide. Well, wait. Can you give me the next? I can't quite read that. Give me the next slide. There we go. Can you read that one? What do you think he's gonna tell us? Check the box.
Never seen it before. That's the box. Check the box.
For your first time here, that's Bob's normal announcement is, hey, we'd like you to check. And in all seriousness, if we had all the Republicans in Oldham County that check that box, especially if you're filing joint where you can do it for your spouse and yourself, $2 does not come out of your bottom line refund. But $2 will go to the state and we get 50 cents back. And this last year, well, I think it's actually 2020, we got 756. Is that correct? I think that's 631. All right. If we go go backwards 2 slides if you would. So the current amount that we have in our checkbook is $24,454. In the ITC checking account is $756. So right now we have in our account $25,000. So I think we are well positioned compared to where we have been in the past heading into this election year. So
I just said, I'm looking forward to getting a lot of checks for sponsors for the Lincoln. Talking about short. So just keep my mailbox full.
there you go. Okay. Anything else from treasurer's standpoint? Okay. Take a motion to accept the treasurer's report. Lisa, a second. Wesley. All right. All in favor? Opposed? Okay. Moving on. All right. Under unfinished business, this is really sort of the topic of the night. Is that as you all recall, over these last several months, we've set up 3 standing committees, and we did have a very good meeting. Gosh, it's been a couple of months ago now, where we got various folks together over at Hometown Pizza at their meeting facility, and we've got 3 committees that we've made as standing committees. We've got a recruitment and retention. So I'm going to let Pam speak here in just a moment on that. She was elected, right? Elected as chair. Legislation, Lance Pearson is here, and education, Lindsay Tishner is here with that. So on that, you go to the next slide. So Pam, and do you want to come on up and talk to us a little bit about what the committee has been doing?
So the committee, we took our hiatus for the holidays. And then, but in our discussion, I did take some notes on what we wanted our committee to do. So what you see in the print here is, and I spent a little bit, so I might not be exact, I'm not sure what.
Okay.
But anyway, I'll just read what, because it was the longest sentence in the history of the So in essence, what we are pledged to do, the OCGOP Recruiting and Retention Committee pledges to ensure all Oldham County citizens interested in learning more about and becoming more involved in their community as members of the Oldham County Republican Party have an opportunity to connect with us. We pledge to maintain a relevant presence via any and all public events and outreach campaigns where we can help Oldham County register as Republicans. My personal goal would be 99.9% Republican, 0.01 Democrat, but you never know. It's good to have goals. But we do want to have an active presence in the community so we can register people to vote. If you're a Democrat and you're like, I don't know if I want to be a Democrat or I want to make a difference, we can do that right here in the Oldham County Republican Party. So we pledge to maintain a relevant presence via any and all public events and outreach campaigns where we can help Oldham County register as Republicans if they are not currently registered, and invite them to participate in monthly meetings, action committees, precinct officer roles, and the various annual events sponsored by our county committee. Events include the annual Lincoln Day dinner and/or picnic, which was amazing, Oldham County Day float and booth, and supporting Republican candidates via community outreach, door knocking. Campaign support is needed by our Republican candidates in the November elections. We pledge to make a difference in our county and our communities with the conservative values demonstrated by the Oldham County Republican Party. So do I ask for a motion to approve that? Or do you want to do that?
Because we don't have that in writing.
So we'll put it in for next time?
We'll
Okay.
put it in for next time. We're going to pass
All right.
that out to all the precinct officers to look at. And then we'll take a motion to approve it because we wanted to have sort of a
So,
mission
yeah,
statement for
that's our
these
mission.
committees.
All right. And did you mention somebody wanted to be a precinct officer?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. All right. So that's our story. And we're going to stick to it.
I'm sure you're having any details. You're aware that you go out recruiting people to register to vote. Whether they vote Republican or Democrat, you have to register them. Right?
Yeah.
You can't tell them, oh, you just to register. I'm sure.
Right, and so the idea is to convince them in the beginning, we would like for you to think about the Republican Party.
Yeah, you don't want to, we don't want to be the ones that's
Yeah,
accused
no.
of throwing things in the trash.
No,
can.
we will follow all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's
Yeah,
spell that
yeah.
out for you. We will follow all. Yeah. But we want to increase the registration in the Republican Party. So that's an activity, right? So if you think about people like Scott Preston and what he does. So that's the kind of inclusion that we want to offer to Oldham County is we want you to be a member of the Oldham County Republican Party. We want you to come to meetings. We want you to get involved. How can we help you? So that's the idea. Yes, sir.
When you consider the new wording for the website, if you want all the wording on the website, so you can see it, fine, but if you want a piece of that, keep it in mind, and for all those things, because that'll be kind of the major new three things on the website. that you should make.
Okay. Anything else?
And just, I'll mention that, you know, like, for example, Mary and I worked the farmer's market many Saturdays with a table out there talking to people about, you know, registering and whatnot, as well as voting locations. You know, that's, you think about it, we've had those 38 precincts forever and a day. And now every single election for the last couple of years, we've had something different, right? So, you know, sometimes it's just educating people as to where to vote, because the last thing you want to do is people show up, especially in a good Republican county like this, they go and show up at their normal precinct and it's closed. Do they go and track it down, or do they just head home? We don't want that. So that's one of the things. And there's other things that we'll be working on as a committee. The Republican Party has a welcome wagon type of a opportunity. We'll talk more about that as well. So,
Action.
all right. Thank you, Pam. Let's give her a little. I'm a Lance. Yours, I think I take the most time. So I'm gonna skip you for a second. I'm gonna jump over to education if I can. And Lindsay is the chair of the education standing committee.
Do you want me to pick the bills now or wait for the legislative part?
Talk to us about what you're intending to do, and then I think,
Okay.
yeah, the two of you, I think there's definitely some carryover as to what we're going to be looking at.
So we've been working in Oldham County schools, just a group of parents collectively getting together to really hold the schools accountable, make what they're doing more to make parents to parents. A lot of us discovered things in 2020 during lockdown that we weren't happy with. And so we've just been plugging parents in and trying to connect them on different levels, being present at the working board meetings, at the actual monthly board meeting as well, and just connecting everybody. We've got a lot of parents who want to get involved. They don't know where to start. We have positions on the school board that we're trying to fill, 3 coming up for this election. We have site-based decision-making councils, which I didn't know existed last year. And they are very important because that's a direct role that a parent can be involved in. So as we're digging in and looking into some of the things that are going on in our school, we really see there's a level of excellence that Oldham County is known for, but it's some things are chipping away. And a lot of it is there's opposition coming at the conservative values that Oldham County typically holds. So we are holding our board accountable. We're getting plugged in. We're plugging parents in. And a lot of parents have joined the GOP and come to the women's meeting. And it's just an opportunity for them to take their conservative principles and put it forward actively as parents. So that's really what our goal is with the education committee, is just connecting the two. And we've already been doing a lot outside of the GOP as a whole. So just connecting you guys and anybody who wants to be a part of the education committee to really plug in and get parents involved in the schools. So as far as the bills go, should I just go ahead? I'll just go ahead. Yeah. So Lance has been doing an incredible amount of work with all the bills that are going through the session right now. And some of the big ones that have come through, there was a Senate Bill 1 that passed the Senate, and it really kind of threw all of us parents for a loop because it took away some power from the site-based councils, which the site-based councils right now represent 3 teachers, administrator, and 2 parents. And it's, you know, they pose it as it's the way for the parents to have a direct involvement in the school. However, we're outnumbered when we're there. So because you have the teachers and the administrator and then us. So in the bill, they did add another parent role, which was a bonus. But they also gave most of the decision-making on curriculum and principles to the superintendent. So the superintendent, you know, and it depends, they're appointed by the board. So if you have a good board, you're probably going to get a good superintendent. But if you follow anything in JCPS, you know that's not the case. So it might work well in some conservative counties where they're appointing the right person, but in other counties, it's really a nightmare for parents and it takes power away from parents. So it kind of threw us for a loop because the liberals didn't like it either. So we're going, wait a minute, we agree? I don't understand. How are we agreeing on this issue? So we kind of dug through, but it did pass. And we'll just have to see and make sure parents are much more involved in getting good board members during elections and making sure the right superintendent is hired. It passed the Senate, yes. Yeah, it passed the Senate. There was a FAFSA bill that was put forward by the House that did not pass, and that was going to require all students to fill out a FAFSA, whether they're going on to college or not. And it's pretty invasive for your parents' financial information. So that didn't pass. I think that was good because you know, not everybody needs a FAFSA. Teach them how to do it, let them choose if they want to do it. Couple of bills coming up are, bills numbers have changed, but it was 60 and 69, and those were addressing the CRT and gender identity stuff and kind of the whole divisive concept that's putting people into categories and teaching people to look at people based on their race instead of their character. And so anyway, that's coming up. There's another bill that's getting ready to come up, I think this week, to not allow men or boys in girls sports. So hopefully that will go through with flying colors and we'll have to deal with that. So we're just watching. It's a lot. Bills change and they change wording, and every day it's a flurry of activities in my email trying to figure out what's going on. But, yeah, did you have a question?
I do. I'm always curious. We, the people, elect the Board of Education in this county, correct?
Yes, yeah.
The Board of Education chooses the superintendent, is
Yes,
that correct?
that's correct.
Who does he actually answer to?
He answers to the board.
He answers to the board.
He does, yes.
Who we elect.
Who we elect, yes.
And we're
So
not.
there's a lot of power in that,
If
those
we're
elections.
in those 4 or 5 people, there's a lot.
Yeah, there is. And in the smaller counties, you really can come in and influence an election to get your people in. When you have a county like JCPS, it's huge. Teacher unions flood their elections. So it's very hard to get your people, conservative people, on that board because the teacher unions are not conservative. They're going to support them financially. So their superintendent, if you follow anything he does and says, it's most people don't like, a lot of people don't like it. So but you can't do anything about it. It's a hard battle.
Do you have any feel of the sense in the community about the superintendent that was chosen, good, bad, indifference?
Well, yes, I have a lot of. We were just there last night. Yeah, he has some good qualities. We're very much fighting the issue of the mandates for the masks right now that we have just been battling back and forth with them. And what we are seeing from him, he's very responsive to us, and I appreciate that very much. He answers almost every email that he receives. He'll answer the phone, he'll meet with us. I appreciate that. I feel like he is, he's a puppet on the strings of KDE or Kentucky Department of Health right now. And they are calling the shots on that issue in particular, and he won't stand up to them. So anyways, he's new. He's only been here since July, so I'm kind of giving him a little bit of grace, but I do have strong opinions about it. Any questions?
I was just going to say, are the numbers for mass mandates like 25?
25 cases out of 100,000.
That's crazy.
Yes, it's ridiculous. I could talk for hours on that.
I'm new tonight. About the CRT, one thing I notice a lot when I watch news and stuff like that is
they always talk about the fact that they don't teach CRT, which is a true statement. They don't teach CRT. They hire according to the teachers that will lean that direction.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the bills and stuff that are trying to pass in other states, and I'm with one of the questions, they stem to that CRT terminology rather than
Yeah.
the segregation
Right.
of people.
So the way these two bills were written, they are very similar, but the way that they were written that are coming up, they don't use CRT at all. They talk about the ideology behind the critical race theory, but it gets really tricky. CRT, diversity, equity, inclusion, SEL, they're all really very much interwoven. And so there is no official curriculum of CRT in schools. There's not.
And that's where a lot of people
It's
don't
just-
understand it. They don't
It's woven
understand.
into
Well, we don't
CRT.
teach CRT. Yeah, you're right. They don't teach.
Right.
They just hire it for it.
You got one more question? And Lance, before I bring you up, Jason, it's great that we have a representative here. If I were to ask you, I don't know if you have any comment on what was just being discussed, or if there was, even if there's a particular piece of legislation that you want us to be aware of that might be upcoming here in the next few weeks.
That one, I don't know what's going on before, but it passed over. It's still not working. They certainly call it. We don't know what they're going to call it. The CRT issue is there's two bills that have been, there is, actually, I don't consider better than this, the bills that are not okay. The 10 directors with still represented, and then not wanting it from different things. So, we just had to budget last week, so we're turning to these types of issues. So in the next few weeks, I'll go.
All right.
Jason, I have a question. Okay, my question. Okay, I wanted to come from you. One thing we can do as just individuals is call the message line and tell them we're for or against. Now tell us the best way for us to get our voices heard.
So, let me tell you, when we call your legislature, we love everybody to do it, it's important. And so make sure that you're calling your legislature most important. So Osborne, Miller, plenty of media at the house, I was considering important. It's getting dirty right now, but that'll change to help the revolution. So a hotline is good, but an email is better.
Email.
Yeah, because hotline, we get it like days later. And so if you email it, if you know the text message, that's even better. We go over 100 emails a day, it's hard to keep up. But our secretary can do a lot of sports. Here are the issues that people are talking about. Now, let me tell you why it's so important. It would have passed the second what you said, but we got 100 emails from the Tea Party and a bunch of other groups saying this is a terrible bill, and it is a terrible bill. I wanted this 2 years ago when it passed the House, and because of those emails, it was stopped. Now, that doesn't mean it stopped question is, where do y'all support on Bill 126 to require all kids when they graduate to fill out FAFSA? It sounds great, right? So it's all these kids, these poor kids are not filling out their FAFSA, and they say, we're leaving behind $30 million a year. First of all, a lot of that's in loans, so it's not really leaving it behind, but they say a lot of kids aren't getting the support that they are entitled to under the law. So we want to help them get that support and require them to fill out this FAFSA. The answer is, you put the FAFSA in front of them and their parents and you say, you should fill this out if you want these types of things. But to require it, you have to, my kid is a sophomore in college, in high school, would have to say what his father and his mother make. Sorry, but that's none of your damn business. And so you got to say a lot of things that are personal, that if I want my son to fill it out, then fine. So we can encourage kids to do that, but this would require a graduation requirement, which is, I think, crazy. But it passed the House 2 years ago with 85 votes. And so who's behind it? KCTC, the Community Technical College, and they're behind it for a good reason. I mean, they're not trying, I don't think they're trying to be overly, whatever. They're trying to be good, but what they're doing is bad. That's not right. And they want you to take every dollar you can get because they can't put on. Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands.
I used to be on the College Board's National Committee. The College Board created the FAFSA and student loans and everything. And one of the issues they have is these schools are encouraging these kids to go to college. Everybody has to go to college. What they do is they'll burn through 3 years of college using all this financial aid. That fourth year, the financial aid gets cut off. They don't have any access to money. They end up dropping out of college, and they still owe that money from the 3 years they were in school. And that's the only kind of debt that I know of that you can't claim bankruptcy and get out of it. So you have to pay student loan debt. That's the big trap that they're doing around that.
So I don't know the answer to that. The question is, where does the data go from the FAFSA forms? I don't know where it goes. I know that your high school council is the one that's going to be receiving it. So, they'll be able to look at it there, but I don't know the answer. I assume it goes to student loan people. That's a company that helps get these loans out.
John?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I'm sorry.
If it passes, would it be a crime not to fill it out?
Well, you wouldn't be able to graduate if you didn't fill it out. So it would be
You could graduate high school.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's just not pass it.
Amen. All right. Thank you, Jason. And I think, again, guys, you're all here for a reason, right? You want to be active, you want to be involved, informed, and everything. And so what he just said is important, that if you see something out there, and that's what these committees are going to help us to do. You see something that you say, this is either a good piece of legislation and I want folks like Jason to support it, or if you see some bad pieces of legislation, please run the other way. Again, let them know that. And as I see some that are out there, sometimes I post stuff on Facebook, for example, just because I know it'll get your attention, such as when Attica Scott says that she's going to file House Bill 67, which says that it requires public middle and high school's curriculum to include instruction on the history of racism. I think we're all in favor of that, right? No. But that's the type of stuff that can be out there. So anyway. Yep.
We'll do.
Okay.
He's going to be a busy guy. Yeah, Yes, agreed. All right, Dr. Lance.
If you continue to have ideas like that, don't hesitate to send me an email and we'll work to try and get something going.
Dr. Lance Pearson. I was elected the chair of the legislative committee, and so basically what happened was we were concerned that the legislators were going to have a session that was jam-packed full of topics. The first thing is they had to spend the first week of the legislative session dealing with legislative matters. They also have to pass a 2-year budget, which they're in the process of doing now. And in most legislative sessions, there's at least 600 bills, 1,000 bills that get brought up. Our concern was that some of our priorities as the Oldham County GOP weren't going to be met just because they get lost in the shuffle. So what we did in December is mobilize the members of the legislative committee. Right now there's 10. I guess we're always taking volunteers. And I assigned out somewhere around 4 to 7 bills that I thought were pretty high priority to various members of our group. Lindsay is the head of the education committee, so I tried to push education bills towards her. Bill Furco, who I'll bring up in a second, basically business and tax issues kind of got pushed in his direction, and various other people, whatever their interest was. And so what we've compiled, and I only have 20 copies. I wasn't sure how many people would be here, but if anybody's interested, what we've done is take those 51 bills. The information on those packets contains a list of the bills, whether the person that read the bill in our committee felt that we should support or oppose that, how high our priority for that bill is, and then a brief summary, both of what the bill does and why we support or oppose it. Now, this isn't the official position of the Oldham County Party. It's not even the official position of the Oldham County Legislative Committee. This is just one concerned citizen in our group that read the legislation and as a Republican said, I think we should support this and this is why. And so I didn't want to be up here talking for an hour, and I don't think that we want anyone up here talking for an hour. So at the end, I'm going to go through the 10 or so of these bills, just what's the number of the bill, what does it do, and why should we support it or oppose it, in my opinion. But before I do that, I want to give, let's start with Bill, if Bill's ready. I'm going to have a couple of other members of the committee just talk through 1 or 2 of the bills that they read and why they think that we should support or oppose that sort of legislation.
Okay, so I picked up the section on taxes, and to cut to the chase, I think most of you know me. I've worked in finance my entire career, most of my career, and generally as a chief financial officer of various entities or as a board member chairing finance committees, one of the things you do is make sure you don't pay more taxes than you have to. So I'd like to ask everybody here, how many of you want to pay more taxes? Okay, we're aligned. All right, I guess we're on the same page that nobody wants to pay more taxes. There's a number of bills here, and you'll see them in the handout, that basically, in one way or the other, increase your taxes. So another question I have, how many people here like free things? So we're all going to get free masks, at the Walgreens store starting Friday. You can get free COVID tests. You can, get all kinds of, how many people like free things? Nothing is free. Absolutely nothing is free. So there's other things that are under the guise of taxes that, well, we're going to, give some people this, and, we're going to, maybe reduce their taxes so then everybody else pays a little bit more. Nothing is free. The other thing that's kind of embedded in here is increasing the minimum wage from $12 to $15. So, we've already government contractors now, and I'm on the chairman of the board for Dismissed Charities. It's a prisoner entry business. We serve about 9,000 prisoners a year in 35 facilities in 15 states. As of this year, all of our contracts that go through annual renewal processes, we have to increase all of our employee salaries, whether they're a dishwasher or somebody who sweeps floors, whatever, to $15 an hour. So what do you think is going to happen with our next contract renewal? It's going to go up. And who's going to pay for that? The taxpayers are going to pay for that. It's an indirect tax increase. I mean, these things are just taking it out of one pocket and putting it in, they're taking it out of your pocket and putting it into somebody else's pocket. So most of these bills, I'm not going to go through them in detail. You can get to them and feel free to call me or talk to me about any of them. But that's where they all come down to is, giving somebody, one person a break and everybody else winds up paying for it. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. And, if there's details you want to get into, we can certainly discuss them at the side. Thanks. Yes, sir. Sure.
Would it be, and I'm going to read it for asking, would it be possible people, all the different bills that you look at, pick the one that are the most consequence, and then actually advise or propose or whatever the right word is, an approach, an effective approach that could be passed to the GOP members in this county? Let's say we're going to do for bill number 1, we're going to do a telephone effort. We'll talk about that.
Yeah. I think that, a grassroots effort to try and put pressure on, keeping things from happening. Yeah, that's a good point. Any other comments, questions? Yeah.
Quick question, I don't know if it's still there or not, but the issue about the taxes, property taxes on vehicles, going through the roof or whatever percent of the increase to value or whatever, during the pandemic, where they stand.
Well, there's a bill to increase taxes, which hopefully, I don't know how far along it is. Jason might know if it's been moving along. There's other discussion as well, though, because of electric vehicles coming along. There's going to be, different types of taxes that can be, imposed. So that's another issue, or increasing the fuel tax. That the federal government has given a lot of money. This new infrastructure bill, and it's not free money. We're paying for it, but we're getting it. So that means we shouldn't have to pay. We should have to pay less fuel taxes and less taxes like that. So I'd be all in favor of something like that. To the extent we're getting infrastructure money, well, then we need less fuel taxes. We need other, lower taxes elsewhere to offset that. So that would be one of my thoughts.
We'll say that's HB 6. If you want to look that up. Okay. Lisa.
I only have a couple to talk about briefly. The ones that I'm assigned are the culture wars bills. And time the assembly is in they're all cost money, and we can really thank Gorsuch and Kavanaugh in the Supreme Court because they did something called textualism, where they changed the meaning of a word and kind of made some of these bills innocuous. They don't even matter anymore. They basically said that the word sex covers everything from orientation to male and female. And so you don't have to have the HR Bill 11, which I think is still the name of it, which was supposed to amend something so that protection from discrimination can happen in workplaces, right? Because if the government would just stay out of sex, we don't need to worry about workplace discrimination, right? And that's what Kavanaugh and Gorsuch did, and you can pretty much thank them for doing that because it saves taxes, because we don't have to have 5 or 6 different kinds of bathrooms in every facility in the world. So that's one of my favorite ones to talk about. Another one that I really want to talk about is a sneaky one, and it basically wants to put money in the big pot for the KDE to have healthy relationship instruction in schools. Okay, they want to give the KDE more money, which I think we're all against that because we've seen this year that the KDE is a mafia organization, and they want to start teaching children how to have healthy relationships, which I think they are already learning at home. Okay, We don't need that money pot. And then the other one, and then I'll be done, which I think is a bad bill. And I wrote that in big letters on my notes. And that is the one that wants to prohibit mental health engagement in identity change. Okay. And on the surface, that sounds really good. But deep in the bill, it is prohibiting public funds for giving anybody any kind of mental health treatment for any kind of issue that has to do with sexual orientation. And it's saying that you're not allowed to do that. So they're saying a mental health professional is not allowed to treat a child who has a sexual orientation issue. And that on the surface sounds good, but on the surface it could be terrible, because what they're saying is they're taking away the power of a mental health professional to do what's best for that child, right? Some of those children might need some talking to and dealing with it, right? But deep in that bill, which is one of the reasons why I think this is such a bad bill, they are forcing it to give money to public health education for sexual identity and orientation. So on the one hand, they're saying you can't mental health anybody about their orientation or their issues, but here's a whole bunch of funding to educate everybody in the school system about it. Okay, so it seems like it's a forked tongue. Is that still a term? And then the last one, and then I'll sit down because I'm not a very good speaker on these things. But they want to prohibit discrimination on race. And the big thing that they were talking about is hair things that go in the hair. And I will tell you, I have friends that spend hours and hours and hours getting their hair looking nice, young friends that are teenagers. And then they, for some cultures and some races, they have to put something over that to protect it. Otherwise, every piece of fuzz and everything else in the world will come and attach itself and they won't look as cool. So I can see supporting letting children wear whatever hairpiece they want to wear in school if it makes them feel confident and satisfies their need for their identity. So that's all I have. If you guys have any questions, I can answer from.
So are these Kentucky?
Yes,
Kentucky. Okay.
these are called the culture war laws,
Okay.
right? And they've been changing them up. They're changing, and the bill will change, and then you'll read it, and then like a week later, it's different, and they're getting down to the nitty gritty. And if any of these go through a vote, we have to look at them again like the night before to see if we want to support it or not.
Slightly obscured in that, so HB 13 is the one that's advocating for healthy relationships. So I think most of these bills have no chance of ever passing the House. We have Republican supermajority, and they know if they're going to vote obviously towards the left on cultural relations and not going to get to that. But they are informative in that they tell us what language the other side is going to be using for the next 10 years. And so I never heard the euphemism healthy relationship training. But ultimately, it's a code word that means encouraging whatever LGBTQ relationship for kids as young as 5 years old that they might be exploring at any given time. And so allowing for counselors to be involved in that process for teachers. And so there's no chance that bill will ever even come to the floor. But it is interesting to get some insight into the word games that they're going to be using. Yeah. First of all, I think
There are also good talking points when you're talking about people about why you might want a Republican in that position rather than a Democrat. You say, well, this is what they sponsored, what they sponsored. So it's good to know that.
Clinical psychologist at Scott. Years trained and please talk to your doctor. So you see, as a guy, right then and there, you go, this is going to be.
Yeah, I want to, and so Lisa talked a little bit about what is actually HB 12 now. And that was whether or not counselors or teachers should be able to talk about sexual orientation, gender identity changes, et cetera, with children. In possibly in response to the filing of that bill, a much better bill got filed called HB 253. The danger of HB 12 is it can be used to outlaw all kinds of discussions that might happen or permit all kinds of discussions. I think we want to stay out of that. What HB 253 does is it prohibits gender change operations for minors. If an adult wants to change their sex through an operation or take hormones, change their gender, and for most of you, this sounds crazy because you're in this younger generation. This is a totally different mindset. They've been inundated with pop culture on all of these. It's okay to be gender fluid and dress like a girl or a boy.
Well, there's a lot of things that you don't understand about a person's mental health. But you need to talk privately with their mental health professional, and they need to have the freedom to do that. We need to, and the school system especially needs to stay out of it. The school system is stuck at right? So.
And one that's in the news, again, I don't regard any of these as high priority. They will never come before. Is HB 23. That's a prohibition on transgender males competing in women's athletics. Fox News, you've seen this University of Pennsylvania swimmer who's transitioning in his gender, and every time he gets in the pool, he sets a new women's record for speed. And so this is heading off.
I thought it already had, so I didn't even cover that one. So, yeah.
Exactly, but that's an example of what we call these cultural warriors. It's about social conservatism. It's a big draw, even for people that marginally lean Republicans might not register.
What
a
I
lot
have.
of people are independent. They are conservative on social issues and more liberal on financial issues. So it's a way to expand the party through the
Sure. What I have found in my wheelhouse is that we do not disagree as much as we think we disagree with a lot of people that are socially more progressive. I think we agree on more things than we know. We just don't talk to each other enough. I know every single person that I know that leans a little bit to the social left side of the aisle prefers to talk to their mental health professional privately, just like their doctor privately, make their vaccine decisions privately, and not have the government involved in any of it. So it can be used as a cohesive issue as well. Thanks, guys.
And this question is something I've wondered for a very long time. How do these things get started? Where does it come from? Because at some point last week, last month, last year, it was not a thing. Nobody had ever heard of it. Then somebody had to sit in a committee meeting or multiple people sat in a room someplace and said, you know, I think I want to let boys use girls' bathrooms. Who does this and why are they doing it? That's what I don't understand. Who thinks of this and says, let's make it law? It has to be some elected officials, does it not? It comes in from the back door.
And you create categories, right? And now you've got 10 or 12 categories. What have you done? You split up the population into categories, like these are transgender, these are gay, these are and then nobody gets along.
These people that we elect, I've always thought, aren't they supposed to be smart? Aren't they supposed to have common sense? I'm not looking at you. I'm just saying, don't they? I'm thinking, okay, this is a smart person. He wouldn't be in this position if he didn't have a background of education or this or that. And he has to have some common sense.
Lance, I think I can speak to this a little bit. I think I can speak to this. So I think I have a little bit that I can offer to answer your question. Where did these things come from?
Yeah, where would they come from?
So they
That's what I
come.
always ask. Who thought this was a good idea? That's the
Okay.
first thing.
I think I can draw a line from point to point to point and help you understand that, okay? And I have 60 seconds, so don't interrupt me. Okay, so you have children that are traumatized, you have people that are traumatized, and their brain goes a little different than the regular person who has not had the trauma that that person has had. And so they develop a little bit differently, and they don't have the support network at the right times in their life. And they go to school, they go to public school where all of the kids are melded together. And that group tends to stick together because everybody else picks on them. Well, the politicians feel sorry for those kids because they get picked on, and they should feel sorry for those kids because they get picked on. But then that group becomes a warm and welcoming group, like our churches should be, but aren't sometimes. And they start including other kids. And so in order for kids to deal with the stresses of school and the crap that they're putting on our kids in every category, not just this, those kids kind of bunch together. And kids that don't have these mental health issues that they have to deal with that are not fun for them start saying that they do. And before you know it, instead of having 1 or 2% of your population in the state, you have 10 or 12% of your population, and some of them are meowing, and people in conservative homes have kids who are dressing like raccoons, okay? And that is how it gets us to bills getting made, because these people want to protect these kids from bullying, they want to protect them from discrimination, and they think that the group is huge. And really, it's a private thing that needs to be handled medically and privately with the families and with the individuals that are suffering from these issues, and the state needs to stay out of it. Right? So it's in an effort to help people that these things happen, but they usually do more harm than good.
Let's move on to the next.
So I have this one, it's election integrity. Southward, Meredith, and Wilson have put forward Senate Bill 62. And in essence, if you hate the voting machines, this have to vote. So right now, what they do is amend the current, right now, what they do is take and report that, and that's the answer. What this would do is require them, a part, the biggest part of the bill is to require the ballots to match the tape. So you have to look at the ballot. And then HB 60, no, SB 62. And it's Southwood, Meredith, and Wilson who are sponsoring it. So it's a step in the right direction. We have to have a 62. At least somebody in the post office is required to match up the ballots, balance out the ballots with the tape. All right, so we'll make sure that we've got 20 ballots in there and they're all Republicans. So that's not bad. Yeah.
Okay, that was all the people. We have 5 or 6 other people that reviewed for some bills, but those were the people that volunteered. I just want to very quickly run down a couple of the things that didn't get mentioned here that we regarded as high priority topics, give you a couple bill numbers. And then in the packet that you got, that some of you got, the last half of it is a way that you can engage with your legislator on these issues. It provides you with the call line. You call into that number, the person routes you, they ask you for your address, they can route you to your senator or your representative, and you can leave a phone message. Hopefully their secretary records that phone message and they give it to the representative. You can go to the website. There's a link for Find Your Legislator that will take you to the website so you can get the email address of your legislator if you want to email them. And then the number one way, which wasn't mentioned before, that in my limited experience, you can actually engage is call up or engage face-to-face with your legislator and set up a face-to-face meeting. They are very busy. If they give you any time, it will probably be 15 minutes. So get your message. I'm concerned about these 3 bills. These are why. Have read the legislation and know why you really want that legislator.
but nothing beats face-to-face interaction. And so the packet, the last 2 pages, has all that material. I've also set up a website where you can go, and if you didn't get the packet, physical packet, you can go to the website. I've got a QR code. And so just to end, let me hit on a couple of bills. HB 14 and HB 18 are the CRT bills. Those are, I believe Lindsay initially called them BR 60 and BR 69. That's their new names. So we've already addressed those. HB 130. That's a bill that is addressing values related to First Amendment protections on campuses. HB 1 is a very high priority bill because it has already passed the Senate. It's gotten over the first hurdle. It was sponsored by, I think, 4 members of the Senate Committee on Committees, which are the Rules Committee, the people that are leadership of the Senate. So it had a lot of support on the Senate side. Hopefully it doesn't have as much support on the House side. In my opinion, it's a very bad bill, but we'll see how that plays out. HB 253, we mentioned that with Lisa's time. That is barring transition surgeries for people that are under the age of 18. Children should not be making permanent decisions about what their sex is before they're able to do so, and they can make those decisions that are permanent for the rest of their lives. So we don't want 7-year-olds changing their sex and then, oh my gosh, why are you letting a 7-year-old decide these sort of things? And again, who thought this was a good idea? Right. We could talk afterward. HB 21. HB 21 is, and I'm just going to summarize I'll list all of the COVID bills. The 2 biggest hot issues right now are education and COVID. And so there are at least 10 pretty good bills that are really trying to address this. HB 21, HB 28, that's probably the most important and the most expansive of the COVID bills. If you are really on this stuff, that used to be called BR 106. So HB 28, HB 54, HB 51, HB 43, HB 52, HB 84, and HB 112. Essentially, all of those deal with COVID passports, COVID mandates, barring the requirement, schools issuing a requirement to get kids vaccinated, making employers liable for workers' comp if they require a vaccination for their employees and there's a negative or adverse effect in relationship to that. So all of those bills are COVID bills. Guns and crime. This one is HB 29. There is a very similar bill called HB 158, and this is a very interesting bill that I will very briefly describe. The power that states have over the federal government is the federal government is not allowed to commandeer personnel or funds from states and make them enforce federal laws. So the Supreme Court has basically determined the way that states can limit the power of the federal government is if the federal government passes a law that says, I'm going to confiscate guns, just hypothetically. They're allowed to do that if the Supreme Court were to say that it's constitutional to do so. What the states can do is, if you want to enforce that law, you're going to have to provide federal agents and federal money to come in and do that. Our sheriffs, our state police are not going to provide any assistance for you to implement those gun restrictions. And so both of those bills, HB 158, HB 29, are what we would call Second Amendment sanctuary bills. It basically says the state of Kentucky is not going to use any of our funds or any of our personnel to enforce a federal firearms restriction that occurs after, I believe the date is January 1st of 2020. And then we also addressed this earlier, SB 62. That's Adrian Southworth's bill, which is promoting election integrity. Basically,
we need paper ballots. There's another bill that actually takes away the legality of having any sort of connection to the internet. That's a different bill, also important. But SB 62 is just basically really gets into the minutia of all of the things that a county clerk has to do to assure that any sort of electronic tally matches up with what the paper ballot would say. So those are a lot of numbers. Anyway, we went through about 51 bills. We assessed which ones we thought were the highest priority. And so the way that you can engage with that is either go to this website to get this list or use that packet. The final 2 pages of that has the list of the bills that we think people should support. Again, read the bill yourself. This isn't the official position of the Oldham County GOP or even the Oldham County Legislative Committee. This is 1 or 2 persons' opinion. But call your legislator, email your legislator, and if you can get a face-to-face meeting with your legislator and talk about the 2 or 3 bills at most. You don't want to inundate them with 15 different bills. 2 or 3 priorities that you want pushed. So, yeah.
So that's the power of what one lady who has non-kids, don't hold everybody in one town to do with her opinion about what
Right. You can have an impact. And I don't know how many members of the legislative committee, I just want to ask a question. How many of you had actually read a bill before we did this little project? Maybe 4, 5, 6, okay. It's very rare that anyone reads any of these bills other than perhaps the legislator or an assistant. So if you show that you're knowledgeable and that you are really passionate about this issue and you're one of their core constituents, it can have a lot of influence. So don't think that you can't have an influence on legislation and what laws get passed. Yeah. It's extremely irregular. I mean, we actually haven't had a meeting of this other than that for a couple of months. So yeah. Yeah.
But I didn't hear what you guys thought. I always learn. I think that's a real.
Thank you. Yeah.
As a magistrate, most of the magistrates and county judges, we go see our legislators, each year, and the message we get from these guys is, you don't tell us what you want. We don't know. We have no way of getting it inside of other people's heads to know what they want. So it's up to you guys and your families and your friends. You've got something that's a burning issue. He told you the way to do it. We go there, and I think that I don't know who's in charge of twisting Nemus's arm this year. It might be me. It's very important. It's more than you know how important it is, because they do not know what the general consensus. But by you voting for or against them, that doesn't give them carte blanche for what they want to do, and what you want to do. So very important. I'm glad you brought that up.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So if you need to get messages out very quickly, we have that text communication thing started, but there's only 19 people on it. So if you would push that along with your all the other 3 committees, if people want quick response, we can send them text out immediately. So,
Okay.
but they need more people in.
But especially if you didn't get the packet, come see me. I'll give you the website name, the QR code, and you can go there. And so we even have a much more detailed thing than the packet, where we actually give a full paragraph of why we like this or don't like it. Yes.
Sorry, I'll be very quick, but I want to be out here for like public record for everyone. House Bill 124 wasn't talked about in the freedom packet.
Yep.
It kind of expands upon our constitutional carry laws that we passed back in 2019. That one is it's good, we support. The concern is it's not like House Bill 158 in that it's a very easy pass with Republican majority. there were Republicans back in 2019 who voted against constitutional carry. So the concern is House Bill 124, even though it's an expansion on your Second Amendment rights, it doesn't have the full support of the Republicans. So I wanted to bring it up.
All right, thank you. I know you sent to me. Yeah. But, well, I'll send the PDF. It's probably better than that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll coordinate with Blaine and we'll send out something. So all of you, especially if you're first-time visitors, hopefully we got you signed in back there. We'll get you on our email distribution. So when we have things like this packet that we'll shoot it out to you and any other pertinent information. So please make sure we have your email address. And last thing, I want to say thank you to the people that are on the committee. It's a huge hassle reading these bills, and it's a huge hassle coordinating it, and compiling, and getting all the information in one place. So I appreciate all the people doing it. And this was only 51 of the, I think there's like 600 and something bills already filed. So, all right, thank you. Thank you. Again, folks, that was one of the things we reorganized this year is we wanted to have an ability to get committees like this together so that people that are interested, whether it's education, whether it's legislation, whether it's helping us to grow the ranks, that you have a place to do that. We get together once a month. You're not going to have enough time to have discussions of all these different things. So if you're interested, if something like that piqued your interest, reach out to one of the committee chairs, get plugged in with them. I'd really encourage you to do that. Let's go on. We're in the home stretch here, folks. A few things under new business. I did want to express condolences to J.D. Sparks and his family. Most of us that have been around for a while knew Lloyd Sparky Sparks. Honestly, he was one of the first guys that really, with J.D., brought me into the fold here, into the party 4 or 5 years ago. He passed here recently, so it's been a kind of a tough several months here with him and his stepmom passing. So Lloyd was a precinct co-captain in E101. Okay. With that, one of the things that we had done at the, we put a kind of a policy in there that said, if we have someone that's been elected into a precinct position that is not in their home precinct, if there is an opening, that person would have the ability, we will need a motion because we've got to pass this forward to the state party to be able to move into that district. So Agnieszka, who is sitting right here waving, she was elected after the reorg and put in as a captain in E106. So I'm going to be looking for a motion to, and I've already had this conversation with Agnieszka, to make her the co-captain in her home precinct of E101. So do I have a motion? All right, you get that?
Good name. Oh, sorry.
Lisa and Pam. Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Opposed? All right, thank you. That's great. The last thing is aspiring GOP precinct officer. Again, last spring we had several informational meetings. So if we have new folks that are, maybe you're here for the first time, if you're interested in learning how to become a precinct officer, we currently have 15 open precinct captain and co-captain positions. We also have for the younger folks, and that's younger is 40 or younger, we have 32 open youth chairs, youth captains. So a lot of openings there. But we've got 15 openings if you want to become a voting member. The one thing that we did implement this year is that if you're interested, we're going to ask you to attend at least 3 meetings or 3 events. So if we have a candidate forum or something like that, so you get to know us a little bit. And then, like I say, if we see that we've got enough interest here, we'll plan to have a informational meeting. So we can again tell you a little bit more about what a precinct officer does. Okay, so that is that. And what else do we have here? Just under enough. Just this week, right?
Yeah,
Friday.
4 days old.
4 days old. That's great.
You've got more hair than
Well, he missed the comment, but you know. Under announcements, since it's been since October since we've met, I'm not going to read all these off, but the Republican State Central Committee meeting, Mary and I attended that in November. That's where we had the election of our new or in many cases re-elected officers. So Chairman Mac Brown was re-elected as chair, and Deanna Brangers was actually elected as vice chair. So you can see a number of individuals there that were elected. The second one, Oldham County Republican Women's Club, Debbie Neopate as the president. Again, they meet at 11 and 7 here at the Inspirational Grounds. And I understand that the next meeting in February is they plan to invite the magistrates and specifically give an opportunity for the magistrates in contested races an opportunity to talk. Did I sum that up well enough? Say, what was Canada? Okay. All right. So that's going to be upcoming, and we'll likely have some here as well, some candidate conversations in the upcoming months. So we'll look forward to getting to know some of the candidates a little bit better. You see some of the dates there. Again, today was the filing deadline, so we'll see kind of the postmortem tomorrow, and hopefully this doesn't get extended any further. The fiscal court, they meet the first and third Tuesday of each month. The LaGrange City Council meets the first Monday of each month. And again, folks, I say this because I've had conversation with city council people. When you show up at city council people, the first thing is like, there's someone here. It is so, no one pays attention, honestly. And if you ever were to go onto their Facebook Live, you'll see maybe 5 people dialed in on the Facebook Live. Because they do broadcast it, via Facebook Live or Zoom, if you will. No one's paying attention. There's a real opportunity to get plugged in. All right. I noted February 12th, Constitutional Kentucky has a prayer breakfast at 9 to 10:30 at Forest Springs Country Club. This is going to be their second one that they're doing. I know, Pam, I think, what is it next Saturday? And the mandate. Yeah. Okay. All right. And the last couple things I had on there was just the current primary and general election dates. The couple other quick things, and then we're going to, John, I see you got the barrel there, so we'll draw some numbers here in a second. I did have a conversation with Julie and the county clerk, and she said she hadn't got it in writing. I don't know if you would know for sure, but the proposal for polling locations. So again, if we've got the primary in May, the proposal is that for early voting, remember, we now have 3 days of early voting on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Okay, it's not going to be the 6 to 6. It'll be shorter hours, but those early voting will be at the John Black Center. So if you plan to vote early, it's one location. It'll be at the John Black Center. On actual election day, if you recall, last year we had 4 locations. Well, they're actually adding a 5th. That's the plan. She's kind of gotten a verbal, so I don't think I'm speaking out of school here, but so it'll be 5 voting locations around the county. The 4 that we had at the last election, plus 1 more that I'm not sure exactly. The 38. 38. That's a good conversation for the county clerks and the state board of election. Yep.
Well, you're not supposed to have I didn't know that we had to go, real ID. I don't know anything, I know I'm local, I don't have to go bring.
Oh. And the candidate form. All right. All right, the two other quick things. Debbie was reminding me, I passed back earlier in the agenda. We have two other committees that are meet fairly quickly here. One, I know Debbie and the Women's Club has sort of taken the lead in the past, and we certainly want to partner with them, and that is a legislative, a candidate forum. We'd love to have Rand Paul come and talk to us. We'd love to have Thomas Massey come and have a conversation with us. So we are certainly working on that, but even without that, looking at some of the different, whether it's state senate, the House seats, and even some of the other local seats. So having a candidate forum, because we're doing things, amongst ourselves as a party, but we need to broaden that. So that's one of the things that we're looking to do sometime early spring here. And then the other thing is we had several people that expressed interest in talking, being a member of the Lincoln Day dinner or picnic committee. So we're going to be reaching out fairly quickly because a lot of the feedback I've gotten is if we're going to do it, best time to do it, try to do it before the primary. When we have all these folks that are going to want to be able to get out there and, have outreach. So we're going to get that committee together quickly and try to get a date on the calendar for everybody. So stay tuned on that. All right, I covered that all right. The only other thing I keep talking about the county clerk. The other thing that's sort of time sensitive is that by March 15th, we have to advise the state of the poll workers, and do we have the poll workers for these different locations that we have. Julie has typically taken the lead on that. She said she is working through her list of the previous poll workers. She thinks she's got a pretty good group there. So if we do have 5 locations, she thinks we're good. If we feel like we need more, and if any of you are interested, by all means, reach out to Julie and you can volunteer. You do get paid, I think like $150 plus I think you get some money for training as well. You can reach out to Julie. That's probably the easiest thing. There's also, you could go onto the rpk.org website, and there also have a link there where you could sign up as a poll worker. But the easiest thing is just to reach out to our county clerk. Last thing I'll say before we kind of wind up here, yeah, he's kind of scrolling through a few things here that was in the agenda. You've got some of the contact informations for us as a board. I want to make sure if you folks have any questions, you know how to reach us. You've got the different magistrates out there. You've got the judges' information on there as well. So a way to get a hold of them. Last thing I'll say is if one of the ways to kind of understand what's going on in the legislature, I watch KET at, I think it's 11 o'clock. They do a really nice job recapping what happened in the legislature that day. Now, for some of us that aren't up at 11 o'clock, yes, I do tape it. I may be watching it, having my, okay, there you go. Yeah, they do a very nice job talking about the different piece of legislation that's going through the House or the Senate or whatever. So I'd encourage you to do that as well. And yeah, you can skip that. And with that, that's all I had. So I would take the motion.
Oh, the raffle thing.
Oh, yep. Sorry, he's coming up with something new. All right. Absolutely. Got to end with some fun, right?
So today we had 26 regular members and 19 guests. We raised $68 for the building, which is more than $1 a person, which is awesome. What are your prizes?
Yep. So the first one, I'm actually wearing this one. This is a nice, I'm sure it's solid gold. It's probably worth thousands of dollars, right, JD? It's a pin, and it says Republican, conservative Republican. Conservative Republican. And I'm gonna, last three numbers is 179. Who's got 179? All right, big. Then we have this windshield sticker. It's a camel, elephant sticker.
Camouflage GOP.
There you go. And that's 217. Who's got 217? Huh, 217? On to the next one. All right, how about 196? All right. I'm gonna deny what they're gonna do with this thing. This is some of you have probably seen this, have seen this on the internet. It's this little sticker. It says, I did that. It's Biden pointing. And yes, if you've been to gas stations and whatnot, you may have seen that people have actually put it on the pumps and stuff. What you do with it is on your own. I am not going to encourage you to do any vandalism or anything, but have fun with it. 203. All right, with that, thank you for bearing with us. And Debbie, what did you want to say? And we've got a second from Stephanie. All right, we are adjourned. Thank you, Zoomers.